Have you done any sparring or anything like that?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit?
But not like seriously. But I love hitting things. It's fun.
Occasionally you'll see a fighter that does something very artistic and striking that sort of elevates the standard. Like, did you see the Derrick Lewis-Ciryl Gane fight?
No.
You need to see that.
There's a knockout. Derrick Lewis got a knockout, right?
No, Ciryl Gane beat the shit out of him.
Oh, shit.
He shut him out. Like, it was a shutout for, I think he stopped him in the third. But, I mean, Ciryl Gane, who's 6'5", 247 pounds, moves like a 170-pounder. It's crazy. He's bouncing like Wonder Boy, like bouncing like this the entire fight, bouncing, throwing feints, like completely changed the standard of heavyweight striking. And I'm not exaggerating. I watched it 3 times. I watched it today, in fact. I watched it in the gym today while I was working out.
So better than like Ngannou in terms of movement, in terms of he's like the best moving heavyweight?
There's no question he is the best moving heavyweight I've ever seen. No question. The best moving. It doesn't mean that, like, this is the way he fights. Like, look at how he, like, every time Derrick Lewis goes to set up to move towards him, Ciryl Gane is nowhere to be found. He lit Derrick Lewis up, man. And every time Derrick Lewis comes to him, like, look at that jab. I mean, his movement in terms of closing the distance is spectacular. Look at that front leg, front kick to the body. And I was severely impressed. I mean, he had beaten a lot of really good guys. Like, he beat Jairzinho Rosenstrike. He beat Junior Dos Santos, whose best days are behind him. But, you know, he's beaten some very, very good fighters. But to watch the way he beat Derrick Lewis, who's a legit one-punch knockout threat, and the technical acumen that he showed, the skill, the technique, the footwork, the movement, the understanding of distance, the ability to control everything that happened inside the octagon was spectacular.
That's art.
It changed my opinion of how a fight with him and Francis Ngannou would go down. At first, my thought is that Francis Ngannou has the nuclear option with everybody. He has such fucking power.
So does Derrick Lewis.
But Francis Ngannou,
he has the hydrogen bomb. Derrick Lewis is the atomic.
Well, they both have crazy one-punch power. But when you watch Ciryl Gane, you go, man, how the fuck does anybody... It's like Francis has excellent technique. Francis has ridiculous power. But he doesn't have the movement that Gane has. The question is, can Francis deal with the movement and maybe threaten him in a way that Derrick Lewis didn't figure out how to? And that's what makes the fight so interesting.
Yeah.
But the way that guy moves is something special, man. I mean, you only saw like little highlights of it there, but I've watched it pretty carefully in the 3 times that I watched it. I can't think of a single heavyweight that I've ever seen move like that. And there's no flaws in his clinch game. He understands like how to avoid the takedown. He understands pummeling. He understands distance and where he's safe, where he's not safe, and what to look for when he's pulling out of the clinch to not get hit. It's really amazing, man. He's on a fucking real high level, and he's undefeated. So I think he's 9-0 now or 10-0.
So he's gonna get a title shot.
Well, he's the interim heavyweight champion now.
Oh, that was for the heavyweight,
which is weird, right? Because like Ngannou just won the fucking title. Like, he's not injured. It's just like the UFC and Ngannou, where it's some sort of a weird impasse. So they decided to make a interim title, which brings up all sorts of ethical discussions about what is an interim title. When is it? If the organization could just decide, oh, the negotiations aren't going so well, we're just going to have an interim title. Right. Like, how many months after when did he fight Stipe? When did Francis Ngannou fight Stipe? Let's take a guess.
2020.
Was it?
I think so.
It was definitely during the pandemic because it was at the...
it's November or something like that.
It was at the Apex Center.
March 27th.
Of 2021?
Yes.
Yeah. So
it feels like way longer ago.
5 months ago.
Yeah, 5. Okay, 5 is long.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how much time do you give a guy before, he defends his title. The difference in boxing is so different. Like boxers go the long stretch, and boxers enter into negotiations and negotiate. Like Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, they've been dancing back and forth as to whether or not they're supposed to fight, and the negotiations fall apart, and they come back together again, and now they're supposedly in negotiations again for November. You know, boxing is so different. Like the boxers have more control over what happens because it's basically just boxing. The UFC is a star in and of itself. Like the organization is a star. And to be the UFC heavyweight champion is a huge thing, but ultimately you're a champion in the UFC, which is huge. It's not the same as like a boxer. Like Terrence Crawford is a great example, right? He's a world champion boxer, and people want to see Terrence Crawford fight. They don't give a fuck if he's fighting for Bob Arum or if he's fighting for Golden Boy, or that doesn't mean jack shit.
Wait, the UFC, I mean, in some sense, also has a little bit of that. In some sense, nobody cares if Ngannou is a champ or not, or interim championship. They just want to see the fight too. Like,
oh yeah,
like
if Ngannou wasn't the champ, if no one was the champ, they stripped both of them, and Ngannou fought Gane for 5 rounds, it would be. I don't know about that.
There's still something nice, I guess, to winning the championship.
Fuck when they strap that belt around you, it's giant. The champ is the champ, but it's just weird. The interim thing is weird. I think interims should really only be when a guy can't defend because he's badly injured.
Yeah, injury.
And Ngannou's not injured, so it's just weird.
Or maybe like 3 years off or something like that.
But that's the difference between, like, there's no rules as to what they can and can't do. They can kind of like make their own rules.
It's whatever the fans will put up with.
Right, exactly.
Which is kind of the honest way to do it, I guess. Because then the fans will complain.
Will they, though? You keep giving them good fights every weekend.
Exactly.
How much will they really complain?
And the fans kind of love complaining anyway.
And the fighter only has a small window of opportunity.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the deal was. I mean, I'm not privy to the negotiations.
But you're saying one of the best moving heavyweights.
No, the best. He's
best.
the best. Ciryl Gane is the best moving heavyweight I've ever seen. I've never seen a heavyweight move like him. It's just his fucking understanding of distance and his use of feints. And every time Derrick tried to swing at him, he was nowhere to be found. He was, just slid out, and then he's right back in on him. He wasn't running. Like, he would get back out and then go right back in his face.
That's like my favorite, probably my favorite part of mixed martial arts is people that move in interesting ways, move well in interesting ways. I was thinking, you know who Lionel Messi is by any chance?
Sure.
So the soccer player, he's my favorite. Talking about things that divide the populace with the vaccines, it's probably Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo, who's the greatest player of all time or currently playing. That divides people too. But
what is the division?
They're just both incredible.
But what is it like? Who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Is it like that kind of thing?
But people get very passionate about this.
Oh, yeah.
They get extremely passionate.
Who do you think is better?
Messi by far.
Ah, look at you.
I don't care. By far.